What's going on YouTube, it's Fracture here and welcome to my first Warzone 2 gameplay video, and have I got a banger for you today. Not only is this the first Warzone 2 gameplay that you get to see from me, it's also my first solo duos win and I drop over 15 kills using nothing but ground loot. We've got stim plays, gas plays, even some recon drone plays, and I'm going to be breaking down my thought processes and rotations. But first, I want to apologise for the lack of audio in this gameplay. Due to some technical issues, there will be some background music. So today we're going to be dropping at Observatory, which has got to be one of my favourite landing spots in Al Mazrah. As this is normally a hot drop, you want to be the first one to land to be able to get a jump on any incoming players who are landing later. A relatively calm drop this game, and I don't have any contesting players, so I managed to find a large backpack, an RPK LMG, a minibuck SMG, and I also pick up some sims from the medicine cabinet. I then move to the building next door where I find a 3-plate armor satchel and a recon drone. If you didn't know already, recon drones are probably one of the most underestimated field upgrades in the game, with the new addition of being able to park the drone. The benefit of this is that once the drone is in range of enemies, it will automatically mark them for as long as the drone is active and in range of an enemy. You can see here how it still marks them when the drone is parked. I get some valuable info from the recon drone and find 2 players on the roof of the main building, which can't be the team that has the bounty on me as my threat level is still at 1 bar. I think about my options and then decide to flank through the underground bunker on my left to try and find a better way to push, as I have the disadvantage of being on lower ground. At this point, I am almost sure that the guy on the roof has seen me, and I hold my ground to see if they decide to push. Notice how I didn't continue to rotate, and that's because that's what this guy was expecting me to do. I managed to get a few shots off before his teammates start shooting back at me. That's it. The game is over. There's no way I'm getting out of this. I dolphin dive to get out of line of sight whilst rotating my aim right to see where his teammate went. I get a glimpse of the one I took some armor off. I pop a Hail Mary with stim, get an easy down on him because he didn't plate back up. At this point his teammate's sure to come down over that hill, so I pop another stim, a little B hop to the right and get the team white. I then plate back up and loot their backpacks for any ammo, plates and score streaks they might have. The strongholds have just come online and the building next to me is one, but isn't one of them chosen for the game. If you didn't know already, all the strongholds get populated with loot, and it isn't until the event starts that they get chosen for the game, which means any buildings with the orange flags but haven't been chosen as a stronghold will have some high tier valuable loot. As you can see, I managed to get some pretty decent loot out of these white boxes, a decent cast off 7.62 AR, 4 UAVs and a ton of cash. I popped one almost instantly to find out if there are any more enemy players nearby. I check the big map and see there are no enemies in the immediate area, but I do have a team rotating up towards the observatory, which I have a gut feeling is my bounty because they are rotating towards the outer edges of zone. I then make a beeline to the buy station so I can buy my primary and secondary weapons, but little did I know that the game had a different plan in store for me.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
You probably noticed at the same time I did that I have no custom weapons to choose from. They're all M4s with no attachments. I realised that my class has reset again after the recent update. Drop a comment below if you've seen or had this issue following any of the recent updates we've had. I pop another UAV and head towards the direction of the team making their way up to the observatory. One of the players is above me, which you can tell by the up arrow on the minimap. He misses a couple of snipes and I rotate to where his view is obstructed by the bushes and tower. I use this to try and get sight of the sniper, and he's in a mean heady. I pop a couple of shots and get some hit marks, and then I throw my Molotovs and dip from view. I use this time to reload and analyse my next move and to see if they decide to push. Whilst doing this, one enemy starts to rotate back down the hill, but the other player is still above me. He then drops down to my level, so I start to flank left to make a play. He overexposed himself and I managed to get it down whilst taking a couple of armor hits. Keeping an eye on the minimap whilst plating, I can see if his teammates goes for the res. I jump out from cover aiming in the direction of his teammate, but he blended in so well with the trees I couldn't see him and went for the finish instead. At the very last moment I see his teammate and manage to dip behind cover before he could get more than 1 or 2 hits. I then head into this room to plate up and see if he pushes, but he doesn't. I managed to replate before rotating back around the buildings to get the squad wiped. Having UAVs the whole time really helped knowing the enemy's location at all times. However, it was such an underutilization of them for just one squad, but it does give me vital intel of another team rotating towards me because they probably heard all of that commotion. I decide to dip back towards the buy station to buy another UAV, but I notice the armoured heli quickly goes from red to grey on the minimap, indicating someone has just jumped out of it, so I am instantly put on alert and checking above me for enemies. I buy a UAV, but I then thought I had heard some footsteps, so I pre-aim the door expecting an enemy to walk through, but I must have been hearing things. I then buy a durable gas mask and pop the UAV. The team that jumped out of the heli must be the team 2 buildings over, whilst I also notice the other team by main building. I quickly make my way over to the team next to me. When I get to the stairs of the building, notice how I am ADS walking, making sure I don't give them any audio cues of me entering the building. I get an easy down and finish on one unexpected player. A precision strike notification comes, but I am safe inside. I then get some footstep audio from downstairs in the back room and get another easy squad wipe. After I loot all their gear, I check the roof and main building from inside to see if I could get any glimpse of that other team. With no more UAVs, I decide again to whip out a recon drone to find out if they started to rotate towards me after hearing all that gunfire. It looks like they are still on the roof of main building, so I rotate towards them. Just before the timer runs out on the recon drone, I quickly double check they're still in the building, and as you can see they are. Again, ADS walking towards the building to not make any loud footsteps. I'm listening out for any audio of them still being on the roof or inside the building. I don't hear or see anything, not a peep. I spent a good few minutes up here making sure they weren't hiding in any corners, and don't worry, I cut most of this out, but for the life of me I couldn't find them and didn't have any clue on which way they rotated. I then noticed that the truck by the stronghold building just turned red and started to drive away. I then make my way over towards the direction of Observatory Building 5, where I notice the doors in front of me swing open and another enemy squad comes into view. I start ADS walking towards them, and when both lined up with my red dot, I started landing heavy shots to get both downs and another squad wipe. I started to loot their gear and I managed to grab some ammo and a self revive before another enemy player starts shooting me. Quickly exiting the backpack, I dolphin dive towards the door, dipping out through the bunker whilst laying down a decoy expecting them to push. I rotate out the bunker and towards the wall outside of main building and maintaining this head glitch to see if I can get any eyes on that enemy player. I can't see anybody by building 5, and out the corner of my eye I see a crouched player to the right of the building in front. Whilst ADS walking and switching from left to right to see where he rotated to, I make my way around this building. I look up and see an enemy on the railing on top of the observatory. I missed a few shots but managed to get the down. I checked to see if his teammate was around but didn't see anything else. I see a flare go up from a buyback from the buy station in front as I start to rotate to the left to find a better angle for the finish, or potentially a squad wipe if his teammate was on a res, and then out of nowhere my kill is finished. I'm now thinking there must be another enemy squad that wiped the rest of that team because there was just a buyback, and I see the just bought back player lands at the building in front. I'm now checking the doorways of the observatory but can't see anything. As I start to ADS walk towards the building, I get some footstep audio. I continue to ADS walk to not give away my position and see another player. See how I refrain from shooting them as they run around this massive telescope? This is because you always want to try and get the down in those first few shots. They then emerge from the other side of this telescope, ready for me to start beaming them without them even getting a shot off. I then dip away out of the building whilst reloading, just in case he managed to get a ping or call out for their teammate, but I don't get followed. Now the gas is about to start closing in, so I know if his teammate was here, he would need to come out of the building to rotate into zone. Listening for any audio cues, I hear some glass smash in front of me. I then ADS waiting for the enemy to pop into view. I should have held my shots here, but eager to get another kill, I get a couple of plate hits. He then dips from view and I rotate to use this wall as cover. Not knowing which door he will emerge out of, I quickly alternate from looking left to right. I quickly reload my AR just in case he decides to jump off the top of the observatory, and just as I've decided he must have already jumped off, I decide to switch to my SMG for quicker mobility, and he emerges from around the corner. With a flick of the right stick, I land some heavy shots to get the kill. With the gas quickly closing in, I start to rotate left whilst hugging the gas, just double checking there wasn't any more teams coming out of observatory. I use the top of the cliff to look down and potentially spot any other late rotations by enemy squads. I don't notice anybody at first until I see one player on a roof below looking in the opposite direction. I use this vantage point to try and get a jump on him, but whilst on my way down I notice he turns around and I start to veer off just in case he spots me, and of course he had. He only manages to hit one shot before I could quickly drop down and get some cover. I rotate around the edge of this hill and make sure to play it up. Not knowing if the team have pushed over, I use this building to try and get some idea of where they might be. I look towards the building I originally saw them on and spot a glimpse of a head still up there. I then use the buildings to rotate closer to the team without alerting them. As I get closer to the building, you can see on the left side of the screen that I can hear them on proximity chat, so I know they must either still be up there or started to rotate into zone. I do a quick shoulder peek and notice they're still on the roof. I wait the minute out for gas to start closing in. I should have used this time to get a better location so I can hold them out on the zone pool, but me being me, I didn't think of that and instead pitched up my tent and waited. I hear the sound of a parachute and here comes my biggest mistake of the game. I overexpose myself, get a few plate hits, but at this point I think it's over and I've got a one-way ticket to the gulag. Well, fortunately, that's not how this went down. For some bizarre reason, they let me self-res. I managed to dip out the garage and replate while shouldering to gain any intel on where they are. Jumping onto this wall cancelled my third plate. I jumped to the building to try and get a better view of where they might be, and as I start to climb the ladder, I get some footstep audio from behind me to the left. With the enemy player not knowing where I went, I just had to wait for a clean shot to get another easy kill. Knowing I have a durable gas mask which I bought earlier, I decide to tank the gas a little bit just in case his mate is lying in wait for me to emerge from the gas. I should have used this time to plate back up, but instead started to rotate into zone. I get some more proximity chat audio from his teammate, so I know he must still be relatively close. Instead of running out into the open, I utilise the remaining bars of my durable to check to see if his teammate is trying to hold me from zone, and of course he is. I miss a few shots here, but I still manage to get the down before quickly finishing him off with my SMG. I have also just noticed an enemy vehicle just up ahead who may potentially try to hold me out from zone. I reload my cast off and push across the water, but wait a few seconds to try and gauge what this team might be doing, but they just end up driving away. I reload my SMG and plate back up. Using the edge of this hill and water, I rotate into zone. Notice here how I'm conscious about checking lines of sight, just in case any teams are already posted up waiting to catch people like me who are late. I check to see where zone is moving to, and begin to think about the endgame plan and position. Using this window and shouldering again to check for any enemy players. I'll wait for the gas to move in and begin to rotate into zone. With 15 players including me still in the game, I'm still very conscious and checking lines of sight before moving out from cover. I check my backpack to see if I have any score streaks that might come in handy for endgame, but unfortunately I don't. I forgot to look here before moving out from cover, and as you can see I realise my mistake and quickly check the line of sight. I take to the roof of this building, and as I get to the top I think I see a glimpse of an enemy on the roof of the building about 60 metres ahead. I edge forward in prone to not give my position away, then pop up to try to confirm if there was an enemy on the roof of that building, and of course there was. Right now this team is ultimately in the best position for endgame, and this is where I know I need to be. Using the buildings to my right to reduce their view of me rotating, I managed to get close to the building. My instincts tell me there's probably a duo on this roof, which means they'll probably hear me coming up this ladder, but I have a trick up my sleeve. Like most PC users playing Warzone 2, I have a soundboard hooked up to Warzone. Yes, I know this is toxic, but the developers put proximity chat in this game and I'm going to use it to my advantage. I started blasting some action music, and as you can see these two campers didn't hear me come up. I even managed to get it down before his teammate even reacted, but by this point it was already too late and I had already switched to him. Final minutes of the game and it's down to 5 players across 3 teams, so it's 1v2v2. Knowing this could potentially be my first ever solo duo win, I decided to let the other 2 teams fight it out to try and even the odds. I loot this team for an ammo box, a self-res, and managed to plate up before precision comes in. Probably should have picked up the gas mask also, but I had to hop off the roof and crouch under this canopy, hoping this precision doesn't down me. I'm now waiting to see what happens with the zone, and one of the enemy players gets killed inside the building in front of me. Still 3 teams, but now it's a 1v1v2 situation. I decide I need to take the roof of this building again. As I'm climbing up the ladder, another precision gets called in, but luckily I don't get hit. I loot some more plates and the gas mask I missed a minute ago. Another player dies and now it's a 1v1v1. I use this hole in the roof to try and get any eyes on these last 2 remaining teams. Someone uses a DDoS and there's some more gunshots from below. I see some stray bullets but still no players. I get a peek on one as he comes out of the room to finish the other player. I wait for a clear shot before I start beaming him and get the down. He attempts to self-res but it's already a lost cause. I drop down to finish him off and to grab my first solo duos win. Now, I hope you guys have enjoyed today's video, which will hopefully be the first of many because I've got some great content planned in the coming weeks. If you're new to my channel and want to see more gameplay and breakdown videos like this, then why not subscribe or even drop a comment if there's something particular you want to see. Thanks for watching guys, and I'll see you in the next video.